I see football is basically for everyone. You know, it doesn't matter if you're male or female, if you're black or white. It's irrelevant.
I think representation's a big part of the game. As footballers, you're role models and you've got to be on it, on and off the pitch. You've got to be respectful in all aspects, and you're getting looked up to all the time and looked at, so I think it's a big part of the game.
It means a lot. Obviously, we all know they have a big responsibility to the outside world. We've even been seen as role models. We can all make a difference, and you know, for me, I just want to show the world that you just have to be nice for each other. It sounds very simple, but it's quite an easy thing to do. Treat another how you want to be treated, and that's how I see it.
Without global success, Liverpool Football Club will be left behind. So in order to be able to change that, what we need is to make Liverpool a global concept. The people who support Liverpool, I've been out, I've been on tours, I've met them, I've talked to them. They're not glory hunters. Because if they were glory hunters for a long time, they weren't getting that much glory. They're not glory hunters, they're journey hunters. They're bought into not just the idea of what the football club does on that journey, but they're bought into Liverpool in a full stop way. What is the Liverpoolian journey? And they're there for it. It's the journey that they want. That's such a good thing. In general with Liverpool, I think it's this idea of, and what we want and what we should want is let them come for the football, but let them come back because the football was just one aspect of a brilliant weekend. Let them continually come back, let them fall in love over and over again, because that's what we want. Surely that's what we want. We want people to go away, and that's the best way to convince people that your way of doing things, your politics, your values, your ideals, they're the right ones. They're the right ones because they're the ones I enjoy.
As soon as I went into Anfield, like, obviously there is a lot of men fans, like a lot of male fans. When you support a team, I think no one really cares what gender you are. So they were very supportive. They were always there, supporting, screaming the lungs out.
All supporter bases, anyway, have the idea of you're in or you're out. You're one of us or you're not. That's you know, football is tribal. It's hugely tribal, always has been. It's geographically tribal. And then from there, there's been extended periods of time where I think that there's been weird early internet nonsense around out-of-towners versus locals. People who we view are not our people are getting our tickets. That is a bad thing. Tickets are mostly controlled by white men. At every football club, this is the case. Football is still seen as this last preserve of, you know, I get to go to the game, I get to do what I want. It remains quite a sort of a masculine power structure around who does or doesn't attend football matches. And that's something that is difficult to address for a variety of reasons, but it's important at least to be honest about it and not hide away from that process. Within that there then becomes this idea of, well, I don't want people who aren't from our place to be in our seats. Liverpool Football Club and the city of Liverpool has managed to shift away from that and embrace instead the idea of, well, when they're coming here, they're coming to our city, we need people to come and visit. But it's not a cynical decision, it's also, we want people to have the best possible time. Making the ground bigger helps. There's more tickets, it's easier for people to get in if they need to get in. Continuing that process is important around the idea of everyone can relax, knowing that the people who are in the ground, they're in the ground and everyone's having a fabulous time together.
We as a players, we have a key role in society. Many people look at us as a reference. So everything we do, it needs to be very careful because we want to provide good examples for people. And of course, because of this role that we have in the society, we have also extra responsibility. Everything that we do in terms of helping the society is incredible. And I'm just glad that we have so many players actively supporting social causes.
How do you include people that want to exclude? That's the tension, I think. How do you? Unconditional positive regard, empathy and congruence. If I go into a classroom and a young person is homophobic, transphobic, racist, I won't say, get out of the classroom, you're excluded from this, because that models a culture of exclusion, right? It models, if you make a mistake, you can't learn. You have to model a culture of, you've said that, it's not acceptable because it excludes others and it's harmful. However, I'm here for you to learn that and figure that out together and show you in our relationship, in the way that I relate to you, the way that I model myself, how you can also be open-minded to the possibility of other people existing who don't marry your experiences.
I just see everyone as the same person, really, at the end of the day, and everyone's kind-hearted, loving towards me. I'm kind-hearted, loving towards them. So it's like, it means a lot to me because everyone's just normal at the end of the day, and everyone's the same. And if you see it in any other way, it's your opinion in it. But I agree. Diversity is quite big to me.
I don't know, more people can see me that like I'm going, they can be open, like, oh, because a lot of girls think, oh, I shouldn't support football, it's such a man's sport, or a lot of girls will probably see it and think, oh, like, you know, I can show my support to my like team. If you support a team, go for it. Like, doesn't matter what gender you are, like, just literally go for it and you'll have the best experience.
Inclusivity is creating spaces where everyone feels like they can bring their full self and you can be authentic, and where you might differ in your experiences or your beliefs, there is a space that you feel safe in, that you feel contained in, to express that and also exist alongside someone else who might be different.
When you ally that with the nature of the city itself and the history that it has, and then on top of that you put a charismatic force around it like Jurgen Klopp, and then you put some brilliant football in there as well, then you end up sort of carrying this wave of warmth that can really make some social change, that can really be a force for good. And within that, I think there is a real sense now, and there hasn't always been far from it, a real sense of inclusivity towards supporters from elsewhere, because we want them to come and have the most fabulous time imaginable. I want people to come to Liverpool and love it. I want them to go back and say to their friends, been to Liverpool recently, you should get up there, loads going on, they've got the Tate. I want people to have those moments, and I want them to go away thinking, yeah, that is the place where I don't want to be all the time. I don't have to live there. We can't all live in Liverpool, unfortunately, but I want them to get their piece of Liverpool to take away from them and feel as though, yeah, I'm part of this thing. I want this thing in my life.
There's things that you gain in like an environment like that you cannot buy, you know? And one of the main ones is culture and the capital that comes with that, the understanding of community, food, playful rivalry, understanding of other cultures, you know? I guess growing up where I grew up, I was so lucky to know so many different people whose upbringing was completely different to mine, and they lived just next door. You know what I mean? And I think that as you move up the class system, sometimes that exposure to different walks of life, which for me personally made a dramatic positive impact on who I became, I hope, you know, and how I was able to see myself in the world. Maybe at some point it's the people who are judging that are actually missing out partially, you know, because instead of being like, oh, look at you, you don't have much, it's like actually, sometimes I think it's more like, yo, I'd love to get some of that. You know, if I give you some of this, can I have some of that?
The idea that the game isn't just literally 90 minutes of kicking the ball around, it is all the other stuff as well. And that's a massive sort of aspect of the city. The city motto, which I will translate out of Latin, along the lines of, God has given us these days of leisure. The city being something which is sort of a lively, ongoing, vibrant place, I think is really important, and I think it's part of what's driven the team. And then I think you can see that within decisions that are made around, well, we will have a parade no matter what. We're going to do the parade no matter what when we reach a certain point, because, well, Jurgen himself goes out his way to say, well, as much as anything else, we're celebrating life. It's a weird way for a football manager to speak. How many of them would actually phrase that like that to the public? How many would say, yeah, this is what we're doing here, this is what we're about? And I think within that, the footballers themselves are given the room to breathe. And I think that that's really important as well. And they understand that the city is something that is greater than just this. And it has to carry the hopes and dreams of a lot of different people and a lot of different types of people. The idea, I think, within Liverpool and the way in which Liverpool fan culture has been able to develop has been led, yes, by supporters on the ground within the city of Liverpool, but that's added to by the contributions of supporters from all over the world who want to buy into that as well, and they all want their own Liverpoolian experience, and that's what matters more than anything.
As a generation, as young people, everyone is striving for a more inclusive world. People don't want to exclude anyone anymore. The reason you get excluded in a cancel culture vibe is because you're trying to exclude someone else.
As you grow, as I've grown, I've realised that the main thing that you can't get, as I've moved my way kind of through, like navigated class systems and social expectations and all those things, is one of the things that I've realised as I've spent time with people who haven't been from the places that I was from, is that sometimes the thing that's missing is that feeling of community with people who aren't like yourself, you know? And that's something that I would never want to lose and would never have changed. And I think it would be true for a lot of people. And that's regardless of race, you know? That's just where you are. A lot of my friends are from all over the world. And I've learned so much from their sexual preference, their religious beliefs, you know, their like meter on spice. Do you know what I mean? All of these things that, for me, I go, okay, this is what my mum does, this is what my dad does, and this is where I head. And they go, that's cool, this is what my mum does, this is what my dad does. And I'm then allowed to go, okay, well, if your dad does that, I'm also allowed to do that, even though my dad doesn't, you know?
I feel like we need to just be open, be like open-minded, and just, yeah.
And then
Normalise it, yeah, that's what it is. Like, we've just got to normalise it now. Like, and even like, I shouldn't really say like we should normalise it, should already be normalised. But unfortunately, like, this is how the world works, and
I don't know if you can, like, being disenfranchised, I don't know. I'm not saying it's a positive thing, but from where I'm at, I guess I was lucky to make the best of it. But there's positives in everything. Yes, there's negatives, but other people spend a lot of time dwelling on the negatives. So it's not that I'm not aware of them, but I just don't feel sometimes that it's necessary to, you know, that's been hammered home forever, for centuries, you know.
just be open, just say it. Say how it is. Like, at the end of the day, people might be scared to like speak up on subjects like this because they'll think, oh, it's too like, not political, but like too like, you know, in the same term. But I think just go for it. I think at the end of the day, like, I know this sounds cringy, but like, you only live once and you don't really want to live your life like hiding behind and not speaking up because you feel scared. So I think it's very important that you do, because your voice, someone else might hear your voice and they'll act up on it and they'll do better. So I always think, speak up.
I've never been brought up any different to what it is now. I think now it's everywhere. People feel more comfortable. You see Jurgen Klopp wearing laces all the time. There's girls in my team who drive it, so we're all on the same page, and the education that's out there now, it's brilliant, and it's only what everyone deserves. Everyone's the same.
When a player breaks the mould and doesn't feel like this untouchable person who just cares about playing football every single day, people listen. I'd say the way I see that the most is in classrooms with young people. They're such icons and they're held up, and their brands are so big that they infuse culture massively, and whether that's through their socials or campaigns that they do or really good press like around them and interviews that they'll hold, that infects what young people are thinking. I walked into a classroom a few weeks ago, was working with a group of teenage girls in Brixton. We talked about the power of influencers using their platform, and they could talk to you about free school meals, and they could talk to you about why it was important that kids got fed over the summer. And they're 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, many of whom are experiencing that. When it's been on social media and you walk into a classroom the next day, all those young people can tell you what that footballer said, which is massive. So when they say the wrong things or the things that aren't inclusive or they're not being good allies, then that has huge ramifications as well. Because young people are like, well, I look up to that player. Should I think that as well?
I'm just following the wave in terms, you know, it's like Gerrard has done it and Carragher's done it and Trent's done it as well. So why can't I, in a sense, you know? I grew up in an area where, you know, it's full of a lot of kids, you know, there's you know, there's gangs and stuff. So, you know, it was kind of a way out in terms of like me, you know. I seen it as a way as like I kind of just took like a smart route, and you know, I was basically, you know, I was fortunate enough to being talented and had the people around me that then helped me out and stuff, you know, so I'm grateful.
I totally understand if a footballer doesn't want to talk about political issues or issues beyond the pitch. There's no reason why they should if they don't feel comfortable doing that. Yeah, you wouldn't expect that of anybody else. But I think if players do want to talk about it, then that's great. From 90s, early 2000s, there was definitely a marketing idea you shouldn't do that, and that maybe damaged the brand a bit. But I think now we're seeing players are quite happy speaking out, and I think that's a real positive thing. And I think players are becoming more educated about the world and now realising what a positive impact they can have.
So when they say things that are affirming of other people who aren't themselves, when they stick their neck on the line for marginalised communities, when they use their platforms and their relationships to lead to actual change, whether it's Jordan and the NHS or Marcus and free school meals, I think they then go, wow, you can not just say something, but you also do something, and they all know what's going on. Our young people are more educated on policy, politics, social affairs through footballers than they are our politicians. I mean, that's probably not a groundbreaking statement, but that is the power of what these footballers do.
Representation. I'd say being myself, representing who I am, my culture, my traditions. What I'd say though is be yourself, and then you're representing who you are, and you'll do amazing.
Football is for everyone to go and play, to enjoy, to come together, to meet new people, meet new friends, socialise, enjoy it, go to the game and watch it with your friends, whatever it may be. Football should unite people and bring people together, not the other way. So that's why I feel inclusivity in football, in sport in general, is really important.